Chapter 1: The Galactic War We Weren't Supposed to Survive. In the year 2378, humanity was pulled into a galactic war they had no business being part of. The Zenith Accord, a coalition of alien species, had been battling the dominion of Vrax, a ruthless empire bent on conquest. Earth, a relatively young spacefaring civilization, was far from ready to fight alongside the veteran warriors of the Accord, but when the Vrax ships appeared on the outskirts of the Sol system, neutrality was no longer an option. The Vrax were terrifying. They were an insectoid race, standing over 9 feet tall, with exoskeletons harder than steel and 4 arms equipped with both blades and blasters. Their empire spanned hundreds of star systems, their war machine relentless. They had crushed every world that resisted, enslaving entire species and reducing planets to wastelands. Earth's leaders knew that humanity, with its fledgling colonies and outdated ships, had little chance in a direct conflict. But there was no room for hesitation. If Earth fell, so would the rest of humanity's scattered colonies. The Zenith Accord, knowing Earth's vulnerability, considered them little more than cannon fodder. Humans were assigned low-priority roles, supply runs, small skirmishes, defensive positions. They were a stopgap, a temporary speed bump in the path of the Vrax war machine. But the Vrax didn't care about the Accord's strategy. When they attacked, they targeted Earth directly, bypassing Accord fleets. They wanted to make an example of humanity, a lesson for the rest of the galaxy. Chapter 2: Earth's Defiance. The Vrax armada descended on Earth like a black wave blotting out the stars. Their ships were vast, with spiked hulls and energy shields that could deflect most known weapons. Earth's orbital defenses were ancient by galactic standards, little more than a handful of battlecruisers and hastily constructed stations. In the Council of Nations, the mood was grim. President Alana Reyes addressed the leaders of Earth's united governments, her voice steady but grim. The Accord has abandoned us. They think we're too weak to matter in this war. But they don't understand one thing: humans do not give up. When our backs are against the wall, we fight like hell. The generals nodded. Earth's only hope lay in one desperate strategy: total war. General Marcus Holtz, the man in charge of Earth's defense, stood. We've been studying the Vrax. They are powerful, but they rely on overwhelming strength and fear. They expect us to roll over, to surrender or be wiped out. But we won't give them the satisfaction. We will use every resource, every weapon, every strategy, no matter how desperate. Earth's military immediately mobilized every able-bodied person, soldiers, engineers, farmers, even civilians who had never held a gun. Holtz knew that conventional tactics would not save them. Instead, they turned to guerrilla warfare, psychological operations, and scorched earth tactics. Every city, every colony, every ship became a weapon. Chapter 3: The Resistance Strikes Back. When the Vrax invasion fleet reached the outer colonies, they found no easy victories. On Mars, Earth's military detonated a series of hidden nuclear devices in orbit, crippling the Vrax landing ships before they even touched the ground. The surviving Vrax were met with traps, improvised explosives, and sniper teams hidden in the planet's red dust. On Earth's moon, rebel forces had hollowed out vast tunnels, turning the lunar surface into a fortress. Vrax soldiers, who had expected a quick victory, were forced into brutal close-quarters combat in the dark, winding tunnels, where human insurgents ambushed them at every turn. But it was on Earth itself that the full brutality of humanity's response became clear. The Vrax deployed their full might to subdue the planet, but as their forces marched through cities, they found ghost towns. The cities had been evacuated, their streets lined with explosives, rigged to collapse buildings and destroy key infrastructure. From underground bunkers and hidden command posts, Earth's military coordinated relentless attacks. They used hit-and-run tactics, launching rockets at Vrax dropships before disappearing into the wilderness. Civilian hackers broke into Vrax communications, spreading misinformation and disrupting their supply lines. Nothing was sacred, and nothing was off-limits. The Vrax, who had never faced such a chaotic and relentless enemy, began to falter. Their massive war machine was ill-equipped to handle the unpredictability of Earth's resistance. Humanity was fighting like a cornered animal, and the galaxy had never seen anything like it. Chapter 4: The Turning Point. Weeks into the invasion, Earth was still standing, but the situation was dire. Casualties were mounting, and supplies were running low. The Vraks were relentless, bombarding Earth's major cities from orbit, leaving craters where monuments once stood. Entire continents were reduced to ashes. But in their hubris, the Vraks made a critical mistake. They underestimated how far humanity would go to survive. Dr. Isaac Chen, one of Earth's leading scientists, had been working on a project that had been deemed too dangerous even in humanity's darkest days, a prototype weapon codenamed Hades Protocol. It was a last resort weapon, something designed not to defeat an enemy, but to destroy them utterly. It was a weapon of total annihilation. The Hades Protocol was a planetary defense system that harnessed the unstable energy of the planet's core. If activated, it would release a cataclysmic surge of energy, vaporizing everything in its path. Theoretically, it could wipe out entire fleets. President Reyes, faced with the imminent destruction of humanity, authorized the use of the Hades Protocol. The risk was immense. If it failed, Earth would be doomed. But if it worked, it would turn the tide of the war. As the Vraks fleet moved in for their final assault on Earth's capital, the Hades Protocol was activated. Massive energy collectors, hidden beneath the surface, began to draw power from the planet's core. The skies above Earth darkened as a surge of energy ripped through the atmosphere. In a blinding flash, the Vraks fleet was obliterated. Ships were torn apart, their shields useless against the raw, primal force of the planet's unleashed energy. The Vraks, who had believed themselves invincible, were left in stunned silence as their greatest fleet was annihilated in moments. Chapter 5: Humanity's Victory and the Galaxy's Fear. The destruction of the Vraks fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The dominion of Vraks, which had crushed countless worlds, was forced to retreat from Earth. Their once mighty empire began to fracture as word of their defeat spread. For the first time in their history, the Vraks had been bested, and by a species they had dismissed as primitive and weak. The Zenith Accord, watching from afar, was equally stunned. They had written Earth off as a doomed world, a minor player in a much larger war. But humanity had not only survived, they had emerged victorious against one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. In the aftermath of the war, humanity's place in the galaxy changed forever. No longer seen as weak or insignificant, they were now feared and respected. Earth had become a symbol of defiance, a world that refused to bow to oppression. Captain Marcus Holtz, now a hero among humans and aliens alike, stood before the new Galactic Council, representing a united and powerful Earth. His message was simple but clear. Humanity does not start wars. But we will end them. The Legend of Earth. Years after the war, stories of humanity's defiance spread to every corner of the galaxy. The name, Earth, became synonymous with resilience, with the impossible victories of a species that refused to be broken. Alien empires, once dismissive, now treated humans with a newfound respect. Diplomats whispered about the Hades Protocol and wondered what other secrets humanity might be hiding. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson: humans might be young and small, but when pushed to the brink, they were capable of unimaginable things. And as humanity rebuilt, they looked to the stars, not as the weak species they had once been, but as a force to be reckoned with. They said humans were too weak for space war. Then we showed them what total war really means was more than just a headline. It became the story of how one planet's refusal to surrender changed the fate of an entire galaxy.